Ever wonder how one war could change the entire world? World War II wasn't just a war. It was the deadliest conflict in human history, pooling in over 30 countries and costing more than 70 million lives. It completely redrew the map and set the stage for the world we live in today. This is the complete story of how it started, how it spread, and how it finally ended. The story really begins where World War I left off. After its defeat, Germany was hit with the Treaty of Versailles in 1919. Imagine being forced to pay massive reparations, lose huge chunks of your land, and have your military cut down to almost nothing. This created widespread anger, poverty, and deep humiliation across Germany. Then, the Great Depression of 1929 hit the world economy, making things even worse. Out of this chaos, dictators rose to power: Adolf Hitler in Germany, Benito Mussolini in Italy, and aggressive military leaders in Japan. They all shared a dangerous belief in expansion, absolute power, and war as a solution. The spark finally ignited on September 1, 1939. On that day, Germany unleashed a new, terrifying military strategy called Blitzkrieg, or lightning war, on Poland. The attack was so fast and overwhelming that Poland stood little chance. Just 2 days later, Britain and France, honoring their alliance with Poland, declared war on Germany. World War II had officially begun. The world quickly divided into two main camps. On one side were the Axis powers, led by Germany, Italy, and Japan. On the other side were the Allied powers, which included Britain, France, and later the Soviet Union, the United States, and China, among many others. In the early years, from 1939 to 1941, Germany seemed unstoppable. They conquered Poland, Denmark, Norway, Belgium, the Netherlands, and even France, which fell in a shocking 6 weeks. Only Britain, an island nation, held out against the German onslaught. The Battle of Britain in 1940 was a desperate fight for survival, fought entirely in the skies. Thanks to their determined pilots, strong air defense, and new radar technology, the British managed to stop Germany from invading. Then, in June 1941, Hitler made what many historians call his biggest mistake. He launched Operation Barbarossa, a massive invasion of the Soviet Union. This opened a second front, forcing Germany to fight a brutal war on two sides. The freezing Russian winter and fierce Soviet resistance ground the German army to a halt, trapping them in a long, devastating conflict. Meanwhile, on the other side of the world, Japan was expanding its empire in Asia. On December 7, 1941, Japan launched a surprise attack on the US naval base at Pearl Harbor in Hawaii. The attack was a massive shock to the American people. The very next day, the United States officially entered World War II, bringing its immense industrial and military power to the Allied side and completely changing the balance of the war. The tide began to turn with a few key battles. The Battle of Stalingrad from 1942 to 1943 was a colossal and bloody struggle on the Eastern Front. The German army suffered a crushing defeat, with over 2 million casualties in total. This was the turning point in the East. Then, on June 6, 1944, came D-Day. Allied forces launched the largest amphibious invasion in history, landing on the beaches of Normandy, France. This successful invasion opened a new front in Western Europe and marked the beginning of the end for Germany. While the battles raged, Nazi Germany was committing one of the most horrific crimes in human history, the Holocaust. This was the systematic, state-sponsored genocide of 6 million Jews. Millions of others, including Roma people, disabled individuals, and political opponents, were also brutally murdered. It remains a dark, chilling reminder of the depths of human cruelty. By 1945, Germany was being squeezed from both sides. Allied forces pushed from the west, while the Soviet army advanced from the east, eventually reaching Berlin. In his bunker, realizing all was lost, Adolf Hitler committed suicide in April. On May 7, 1945, Germany officially surrendered. The next day was celebrated as Victory in Europe Day, or VE Day. But the war wasn't over yet. In the Pacific, Japan fought on to force a surrender and avoid a costly invasion. The United States made a controversial decision. In August 1945, they dropped 2 atomic bombs, one on the city of Hiroshima and another on Nagasaki. The destruction was unlike anything the world had ever seen. Faced with this unimaginable power, Japan surrendered on September 2, 1945, officially ending World War II. The consequences were staggering. Over 70 million people were dead. Much of Europe lay in ruins. Out of the ashes, the United States and the Soviet Union emerged as the world's two new superpowers, kicking off the Cold War. But something positive also emerged: the creation of the United Nations, an organization dedicated to preventing future conflicts. World War II is a powerful lesson on the devastating cost of hatred and unchecked power. As the saying goes, those who forget history are doomed to repeat it. Its lessons on peace and justice are more important today than ever before. Thank you for watching.